nasty weather this week.
Oh, yeah.
There, what do you think? How can that impact the game, if at all, or is it just the same for both teams now?
Yeah, I think the same for both teams. Both teams have probably played in some pretty cool atmospheres. I know we have. That game last year was pretty cool, the last one at Tennessee. I think got in the teens. So, I mean, a lot of guys, we were fine in that game. So, it shouldn't really impact the game at all, honestly.
I mean, there's so much about why this game matters and everything. Is that even a thing to even think about, or what are you thinking most about?
I think the biggest message from Coach Day is just, sticking to our routine, sticking to our mindset that we come into every game with and what we do and who we are. And, obviously you respect the rivalry, you respect that it's the game, and you know how big it is. But, I mean, you can't go into the game, thinking about the stakes or what's on the line. And you go into the game, you do what you do. Trust your fundamentals, trust your training, and see what happens.
So it seems like Tuesday and Wednesday are your biggest work days. Is the preparation physically over now, or the?
Yeah, I mean, you still do some physical work tomorrow. It's not as physical. We put on our shells and stuff, so it's not as physical. But you're still flying around, still mentally locked in. But so it's kind of like that.
Sonny, what makes Jordan Marshall hard to bring in?
I think he's a physical runner. I think a lot of times you get those guys, they're a little shorter. He's pretty muscular, low center of gravity, stuff like that. But I mean, I think all their backs are pretty good. They all do a good job.
Sonny, you faced mobile quarterbacks before this year. What makes Bryce different, and how he can hurt you with his legs compared to maybe some of the guys you faced before?
I think he's kind of similar to like Nico in a way. Obviously, we didn't get to play him, but we played him last year. Like you got to see, like he's tall, maybe not as tall as Nico. Kind of similar speed. He's got great arm talent. So you got to just be aware of him at all times. Got to keep him in the pocket. Got to be aware of third downs. Seeing him QB run, scrambling, stuff like that. So it's got to be 11-1 on the defensive side of the ball.
As this season's gone along, and y'all have been presented with like maybe the game plan or the approach. Where would this one, from Matt Patricia, where would this one rank? Top of the heap? How would you describe it? You understand what I mean? Is there some good stuff in there, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think every game plan Coach Patricia comes up with is elite. There's always, everyone understands the game plan. It's clear. We know what the message is, what we need to stop, what are the musts. I think he's always kind of planning ahead and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'd rank it anywhere, but the game plan, I think every week's the best game plan. So
yeah. You mentioned not making the game bigger than a game. Do you think that's happened in the past few years as you guys have lost a few of these?
I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, I can't speak for anyone else. I think when I was a young guy, I kind of let that get in my head a little bit. Maybe it's like freshman, sophomore, like just thinking about like, oh wow, I'm in the game. I think especially for me, like being a kid from Columbus, like knowing how big it is and how like everyone's watching, like how cool it is to be in the moment. But I think at the end of the day, you got to go out there. It's a game, and you got to do what you do. Like I said, trust your training.
Sonny, you've been extremely consistent as a tackler this year. What do you think have been the keys that have helped you do that so you're not missing any tackles?
Yeah, I mean, I think we practiced a lot in practice this year. We're constantly practicing fundamentals. So just consistently trying to get better. I still got a lot of work to do, despite that, but just got to keep working.
Sonny, this team obviously won 15 games in a row. When you guys follow your process, what is this team capable of?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're capable of, going all the way and completing all of our goals. I think when you trust your process, trust your training, you put in the right work, you give yourself a great chance to win. But you still got to go out there and execute. There's a lot of great teams. Anyone can beat anyone in college football right now. So you got to go out there and execute, put it on the field.
What's it been like developing as a tandem with Arvell this year?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I think we feed off each other. He does a great job. Physical, fly around. You see him off the edge. I think we just complement each other very well.
Can you kind of see the opposing quarterback, or just even kind of feel the coordinators kind of figuring out what he's doing from play to play, what you guys as a whole are doing?
I think if you're a smart coordinator, you're probably going to try and figure out where he's at on the field. He's caused a lot of havoc in the backfield. So if I was a coordinator, I definitely want to know where he's at.
Sonny, for you personally, just being a guy from Ohio, grew up as a Buckeye, this being your senior year, just what personally does this game and getting a win in this game mean to you?
Man, it means a lot. I haven't been able to get the win in the past 3 years, but we're not worried about that. Trying to go get after this year and, leave this season with some gold pants.
Sonny, is it valuable to be emotionless in this type of game? I mean, you, Caleb, even some of, Caden and Kenyatta, everyone's very stoic, very, under control. Is that
I think every game you play with great emotion, but don't play emotional. When you're up and down, you're not playing at your best. You got to be not too high, not too low. And I think we do that every week. And I think sometimes we get to this game, it's easy to get too high and get too low. That's what I'm saying. It's the same message every week. We got to be consistent. Do what we do.
Do you have to pull yourself back to not overdo it on a week like this?
I think Coach Day and his leadership and the message he's been sending this week, I don't think that'll be a problem at all, because I think he's been very stern with that message, and I think guys are taking on that persona that he's kind of given to us.
Sonny, is that something you kind of have to prepare some of the younger guys for? There's not a lot of guys who have played in this rivalry at the big house. You and Davis are going to really got a lot of time. Got a good amount of time to do it.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for the young guys is I think Coach Day's been doing a good job. Like I said, you got to just trust our routine. It's a big game, it's the game, but you got to do the same thing we're doing every week. You come in on Tuesday, have a hard practice. Come in on Wednesday, have a hard practice. Thursday, perfect Thursday. Friday, walk through, and then you go out there and execute and do what you're supposed to. We say hardest playing team in the country, get a champion. And I think if everyone's just focused on that, I don't think there's no problem in being too high or too low.
So while following that routine,
yeah, I think the same thing. When we have road games, they turn the noise on, so they do the normal noise that we do every road game. Everything's felt the same. I think obviously this game, especially on the defensive side of the ball, we know it's gonna be a physical game just based on what they like to do. But that's just like any other week where it's a more physical team that likes to run the ball.
So within the context of following your routine, has there been anything in the building or said by anybody that would indicate that it's Michigan week?
We talk about it. Obviously you come in on Tuesday meeting. You know it's the game. You know it's on the line. Both teams are trying to get to the Big Ten championship. We know we're trying to get gold pants. Coach Day said it after the game. We're playing for hardware now. So we understand what's at stake. But we're not approaching the game like that. We're approaching it just like we do each and every week. And I think that's when we play our best.
All right, so thank you.
Thanks very much.